The movie begins as Ethan, a man suffering from headaches and amnesia, wakes up in a mangled car. It is a post-apocalyptic world, and it is dangerous for him to remain stuck in the wreckage. So that he does not remain a sitting duck, Ethan struggles and struggles until he finally frees himself and escapes from the wreck. From the bits and pieces of his memory, he and his girlfriend Emma were escaping from an area riddled with zombie-like hybrids. Ethan searches for Emma, but she is nowhere to be found. He starts wandering the desolate area and calling out her name. Soon he runs into armed strangers who open fire on him, but he is rescued by a hardened survivalist named May. When a lightheaded Ethan faints, May takes him to her secluded farm and caters to him. Ethan finally comes to and expresses his gratitude to May. During their interaction, it is revealed that in the early days of the outbreak, Emma had fled with Ethan toward a remote cabin, but she has now disappeared without a trace. He expresses his desire to go find Emma, but May convinces him to at least stay for dinner. After dinner, Ethan is anxious to begin his quest, but May somehow conjures activities for him to do in order to help her around the house. When Ethan has had enough, he tells May that he intends to leave that night in search of his lover, but May tells him that it is too dangerous. She promises that the next morning, both of them will find Emma together. They then bid each other goodnight, but Ethan can't sleep. He wants to see his girlfriend by all means possible, and as soon as possible. Soon, he has a flashback to the cabin, and the promise he and Emma made to each other. The couple promised themselves to meet at their cabin if ever they got separated. That night, while May is asleep, he steals a truck and navigates his way to the cabin. On reaching there, he doesn't see Emma. Instead, he meets a strange woman with a gun trained on him. He also sees the woman's young son. As Ethan is trying to pacify the woman and convince her to lower her gun, a life form polluted by the plant-based virus tries to storm into the house, but all three work together to defeat it. After some time, the woman introduces herself as Jolene and her son as Sam. As they talk, Ethan notes that it is strange for the creature to still be alive, even though he gave it a grave head wound. Jolene states that this is the new normal. She then states that the infected are immortal, and the fact that they're plant-based may be nature's way of purging man's destructive activities. Ethan begins feeling sleepy. Jolene encourages him to rest, but warns him that if he tries anything funny, she will off him. Perhaps it is her maternal instinct speaking, because by the next morning, when he wakes up, he finds himself on the floor and in Jolene's pool of blood. He has flashes of the incident and remembers a zombie attacking them. However, this zombie is nowhere to be seen at the moment. Traumatized, he runs outside and sees a zombie finishing up Jolene's son, Sam. Ethan hides and watches because he is scared, but just when he thinks the coast is clear, the zombie jumps at him. Ethan notices that it is female and appears to be fighting with herself as if she doesn't want a piece of his skin. When it seems the zombie's impulse is winning, May shoots it in the head from a distance. When Ethan tries to thank her, she notes that the infected are unstoppable, and a headshot only buys Ethan and her time. Ethan seems to have forgotten her and introduces himself again as if it were their first time meeting. May takes no offense as she is aware of his fragile condition. Instead, she reintroduces herself and takes him back to her farm. Before they leave for May's farm, Ethan manages to find his girlfriend's phone with a low battery, making what appears to be a video offering some explanation as to the current events. The phone's battery runs flat quickly, and May encourages him that she has a charger at her place. When they get to the farm, May senses that something is off, and truly, there is a man snooping around the area. May quickly outsmarts him, and he pleads with her and introduces himself as Kai. Soon May reaches a compromise with Kai, which is a warm meal for a chore. Kai initially gets on board with this, but it is immediately clear that he has an ulterior motive. While he and Ethan are outside and cutting logs, he pretends to take a leak and sneaks a gun onto his person. When it's time for dinner, May serves the men but warns Ethan not to eat any drop. Meanwhile, Kai eats the meal and feels confident to go ahead with his plan. He whips out his gun and threatens May. He accuses May of abducting his wife, Fran, and doing away with her. While his gun is trained at May, Kai starts clutching his chest in pain as a result of the expired sedative May snuck into the meal. This gives May a fighting chance. Ethan wants to help out or at least stop the fighting, but his headache, which has become more insistent, overwhelms him, and he loses consciousness. By the time Ethan comes to, Kai's friends or backup have arrived, and they've tied May to a chair. Kai wants to do away with May, but he insists on finding proof that his wife was in the farmhouse first. He instructs Ethan to come with him, while his friends, Fox and Wolf, keep an eye on May. During Kai's search, Ethan stumbles upon a locket that used to belong to Emma. The implication of this is not lost on Ethan, thereby making him conflicted. Kai states that he is sorry for Ethan's loss and that they have to teach May a lesson. Kai eventually finds his wife's jewelry, and he feels torn to pieces. Meanwhile, Wolf goes to check the barn for anything suspicious. He unwittingly misses the zombie May casually keeps in her garden, and the booby trap she has set. The scene shifts to Ethan and Kai, who have come downstairs. Ethan holds a gun to May's head and demands answers. He questions if his Emma is still alive, or if May has offed her. May is mostly tight-lipped but insists that she did not off Emma. Eventually, May states that she didn't off Emma, but that Emma passed away long, long ago. Ethan's heart is shredded to pieces upon hearing this. Kai asks Fox to bring Wolf back. Fox obeys. Wolf stumbles upon May's lab where she's experimenting on a human subject. A frightened Wolf raises an alarm and mistakenly triggers another booby trap, causing the barn to explode. Wolf's body is disintegrated, while an injured Fox is flung by the explosion and kept at the disposal of May's pet zombie, who does away with him. The scene shifts to May, Ethan, and Kai. From their conversation, Ethan deduces that he is already infected with the virus and is slowly morphing into one of the zombies. He then remembers eating Jolene and feels extremely sick and sad. Kai thinks it is poetic that May should be offed by her own gun. Unknown to him, May has set up her gun in such a way that an unsuspecting person can injure himself. As he presses the trigger, the gun backfires and mangles his hand. Ethan is visibly seen to morph on screen for the first time. His pupils unnaturally dilate, and he ferociously attacks Kai. In the next scene, Ethan is seen throwing up blood while May strokes his hair. She tells him not to worry because he will soon forget. And true to her words, when he wakes, he forgets who she is and what he has done. But this time, as he goes about his daily chores, he suddenly remembers his history with Emma. He remembers how he and Emma were attacked by a zombie at a gas station. Emma bound his arm in a bandage so that no one would suspect that he had been bitten. They stumble upon a farm lived on by a man named Tom and his wife and daughter. It is suggested that the family lost their son to the virus, and so Tom is very finicky and meticulous when dealing with strangers. Emma helps Ethan pretend that he is clean, and they are accepted by Tom's family. As they are about to have dinner, Ethan's symptoms act up, and Emma pretends that they both need to wash up and use the bathroom upstairs. Emma then suggests to Ethan to stay in the bathroom a bit longer, while she goes downstairs to throw off any form of suspicion. But Tom has already caught on to their tricks and threatens Emma with a gun. He asks his wife and child to leave the room since he intends to dispose of Emma and Ethan. His wife and daughter initially step outside, but, for some reason, sneak back in to check on Ethan. This was a big mistake, as Ethan's zombie impulses have taken the driver's seat, and he eats both mother and child. Their screams of anguish distract Tom, and Emma seizes the opportunity to fight back. Tom manages to injure and scar Emma's face, but she ultimately ends him. From that day, Emma and Ethan began living on the farm. Emma quickly realized that feeding Ethan flesh and cleaning out his injury halted the progression of the infection. And so she lured unsuspecting and unwitting victims, who would eventually become Ethan's life elixir. For years and years, the couple was as happy as they could be. It was like time stood still for them, as if it were on a permanent honeymoon. But suddenly, one day, Ethan woke up and could no longer remember his lover. Although distraught, Emma decided to play along, since acting purely based on emotions will do no one any favors. She then adopts the name May and the persona of a stern but sweet older lady who's trying to help Ethan find his missing girlfriend. In other words, May is indeed, and in fact, Emma. Ethan confronts May about his memory, and when she confirms it, his heart hurts all over again, and he declares that he is a monster. But May quickly replies that he is the new normal, and that she is the one who is bound for extinction. Ethan then states that she should let him go, as he wants to end it all. May understandably replies that her body and mind are broken, and that she has grown tired. She categorically states that she cannot keep on doing this vicious cycle. Ethan looks at her one final time and says neither will he. Consequently, he pulls a gun on his brain and shoots, but it doesn't take long for him to revive because all infected are immortal. May then rushes to his side and comforts him. The duo share an embrace, and Ethan, for the first time in a long time, calls her Emma and tells her that he loves her. Emma breathes a sigh of pleasure and relief, and they share a kiss. The scene alternates with steamy moments from their past where things were less complicated, suggesting that even if their situation is somewhat tragic, their love is still going strong. Their steamy session goes on for a considerable amount of time, and Emma, overwhelmed by the cruelty of their fate, encourages Ethan to maul her. Ethan does not waste much time after Emma gives him the permission, and goes on a spree of debauchery. In the film's ambiguous final moments, the two rise from the wreckage holding hands and walk into the sunset, leaving their ultimate destiny unresolved.